What specifically I think Mr. Rajiv Bajaj was alluding to, some companies today are unfortunately building purely towards the cost. Where is that spirit now? We are conceding, beyond a certain tier of power band, we are conceding that mantle to the European or the Japanese companies. So I think in the next 3 to 4 years, safe to say that ultraviolet will be present across multiple two-wheeler segments.
So Ultraviolette Automotive needs no introduction. They have been the pioneers in making performance-oriented electric motorcycles. And today we have Narayan Subramaniam with us, who is the CEO of Ultraviolette Automotive, and we'll be talking to him about a variety of things with one twist, something explosive. Am I right, Narayan?
I mean, let's see where it goes.
Right. So firstly, thank you for coming on NDTV Auto Show. We welcome you.
Sure.
So let's begin with the origins. Ultraviolette Automotive, performance electric motorcycles. So how has the journey been since 2019 till 2024? Almost 5 years. So how has the electric two-wheeler landscape changed since then?
Sure. In fact, happy to be here, Kinshuk. And
Thank you.
With regard to the ultraviolet journey, we formally started the company in 2016.
Right.
Which also was after about a year of research on what segments we want to get into from an electric vehicle perspective.
Right.
So as two people that returned to India, so I was working in Europe and Japan for a while. My co-founder was in the US. We'd seen companies like Tesla, grow from the early proto stages to serious commercial vehicle production by 2012, 13 with the Model S, etc. Right? And from both of our perspectives, I come from a design background. My co-founder is from a tech and computers background, Raj.
Right, of course.
And we've known each other for a long time. And yes, it's taken us a good part of that time. And today we've offered the world the F77 Mark II, which comes with the best-in-class features in terms of your top speed, torque, range, safety, and I mean the whole feature set, which includes a lot of things that exist in the world of two-wheelers for the first time in the world.
So Narayan, my next question to you would be, we have seen a significant leap in terms of technology, in terms of features, in terms of the range offered by EVs that were present in the market, say about 4 to 5 years ago, and the current crop of EVs. So what do you think the EV landscape will look like in the next, say, 5 to 7 years or the next decade?
I think a core part of what you just mentioned comes from the fact that EVs weren't engineered for India ground up.
Right.
A lot of what existed in the 2000s, early 2000s till about 2014-15 were predominantly products that were white labeled from other parts of Southeast Asia.
Sure.
And these, of course, also a lot of them came with the mandate of being under 250 watts of power output, which did not require a license to own the vehicle, which further, brought into question the credibility of electric technology itself. And I think today we are on the other side of the curve here. We have a few homegrown companies that are doing active R&D on electric vehicles. Our incumbent companies are also now seriously getting into the world of electric vehicles. And I think in the future, we are going to see aspects such as range, performance, safety, across the board continue to go up, where EVs are going to be more compelling ownership propositions, not just riding, but overall ownership propositions compared to the world of IC engines.
Right. So this brings me to a nice follow-up question, that you mentioned that incumbent companies are also actively stepping into the world of electric vehicles. So of course you may have been interacting with the legacy manufacturers, so to say, and have you ever received some sort of a pushback or some sort of animosity when it comes to electric vehicles competing in the same space, so to say? And of course, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj, he did mention ultraviolet about a couple of weeks ago. So what would be your response to that?
Okay, so I'll take both of them one at a time. With regard to advancements in electric vehicles, there is, of course, a certain sense of complacency that you'd find in some of the legacy automakers. And we've seen this play out before, right? We've seen what happened with the rise of Tesla and some of the top automakers across the globe
right.
Look at it with a lot of skepticism, and then sooner than you think, a new form of technology has appealed to the sentiments of what the consumer, the forward-looking consumer in the world today wants.
Right.
And seeing some signs of that as well here. And with regard to what specifically I think Mr. Rajiv Bajaj was alluding to, some companies today are unfortunately building purely towards the cost.
Right.
Right. And once you take that approach, you're unfortunately what takes a backseat is the aspect of innovation and pushing the boundaries of what
right.
performance and tech can offer.
Right.
And that has given companies like ourselves the opportunity to take on that mantle.
Absolutely.
And sort of really push the limits of what performance, tech, design, all of this can come together and create for an aspirational 21st century Indian consumer, right? And I mean, I'd also want to give a lot of credit to Mr. Bajaj for the genesis and the rise of the Pulsar brand,
right.
and what it stood for a while in terms of performance motorcycling in India. But I mean, where is that spirit now? We are conceding, beyond a certain tier of power band, we are conceding that mantle to the European or the Japanese companies.
Right.
And
right.
we come from a different school of thought. We believe that the future of what India can do definitely can put us in pole position when it comes to performance tech in the world of motorsports included.
Right.
And specifically, coming to the comment, in fact, why don't we make it a little interesting?
Sure, absolutely.
So I think we're going to be there right in the backyards of Bajaj Auto at a race format event in about 90 days' time at Ambi Valley.
Wow, fantastic.
And we are bringing the best of what we've got.
Absolutely.
Right, in terms of design, tech, performance coming together.
Right.
And we definitely invite Bajaj Auto to bring the best of what they've got in terms of what Indian R&D over the years has resulted in.
Right.
And I think a simple race format should probably give the answers to who's really, with limited resources and capital, who's really pushing the boundaries of what Indian engineering can truly achieve. And I'd probably leave it at that.
Wow. So it's almost like machine versus machine, Ultraviolette versus Bajaj, is it?
I mean, Ultraviolette, Bajaj, a lot of other companies out there. We invite competition in this space, and we would definitely like to see this intent that is led by Ultraviolette in terms of pushing tech and innovation being taken up by more companies at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, so this intent of yours, it definitely speaks about the confidence that you have in your products and the confidence that you carry in your, in your innovation, in your day-to-day working at Ultraviolette.
Sure.
So that's, fantastic. And would you be kind enough to elaborate more on the race format that is coming up in 90 days?
Still early days. I think we ourselves haven't thought it through entirely, but I think there is an interesting drag format that is happening.
Okay.
And we're likely to be there, and it'll be interesting to see who else can come up with what. And going back to what you said, yes, there is a lot of confidence because of kind of vertical integration, development, and testing that we put our products through at Ultraviolette.
Right.
In fact, we test for all edge cases as well.
Right.
And in fact, our fleet of vehicles internally have each crossed over 1 lakh kilometers.
Oh, okay.
And we took them back to ARA for recertification, just out of curiosity to see what the battery capacity could still be like. And we still, after 1 lakh kilometers, retained a range of 304 kilometers certified.
That's fantastic.
And that represents, you're a motorcyclist or you're an auto enthusiast as well, right? And in a two-wheeler industry, 1 lakh kilometers represents what, 7 to 8 years of active riding.
Right.
And that in fact led us to offer what we think is the world's largest warranty in terms of 8 years, 8 lakh, up to 8 lakh kilometers as well.
Right. No, that's, this is what also inspires a lot of confidence in a potential buyer.
Sure.
Because he or she is ready to invest that kind of amount in your products. Sure. And then they are mentally very relaxed, knowing that Ultraviolette has their backs. So that's fantastic. And with Ultraviolette ready to take on these legacy manufacturers, so yes, absolutely, it's commendable. and we look forward to that drag race, whenever it happens, and we absolutely, fingers crossed, it happens, and
Sure.
that's fantastic. So, Narayan, tell me, we have always seen a theme of aviation and ultraviolet motorcycles. So, what is the connection between aviation and performance-oriented electric motorcycles?
Sure, interesting question. In fact, this whole aspect of aviation and aerospace goes back to the founders, Neeraj and myself.
Right.
In fact, we had a drone company working on drone tech back in 2009, 2010.
Right.
And both of us, I mean, I've been actively into building aircrafts, been working with lithium-ion batteries right from 2003, 2004. So our foray into this world of electrics predates the genesis of ultraviolet.
Nice.
In fact, today, you know for a fact that the architecture on our electric motorcycle is fundamentally different from the IC world.
Totally.
In an IC engine motorcycle, you have 25 kgs of an engine block and a transmission, and you've got about 10 liters or 10 kgs of a fuel tank on top. Whereas in the machines that we're building, you've got about a 50 to 65 kgs of a battery pack. Located in a very different CG position as well. So this brought with it a lot of challenges in terms of how do we define the perfect architecture for an electric motorcycle, where your ride dynamics are not very different from the best handling IC motorcycles.
Right.
I mean, this world has been perfected over the last 4 or 5 decades.
Absolutely.
And there is definite merit in, how IC motorcycles handle. So getting the right weight distribution, getting the right center of gravity while dealing with completely different mass systems required a new approach which wasn't from the motorcycling world. So you have trellis frames, you have delta box frames, you have 2 or 3 formats of a chassis. But in our case, we had to make the battery pack a structural member. We had to make the drivetrain unit, the motor and the transmission, also a structural member. So some of these challenges that hadn't been solved in the IC world, which meant you can't rely on benchmark engineering, you need to engineer ground up. And so that approach came from the world of aviation. So our head of product today was earlier working with companies like ISRO and Safran, developing landing gear systems for multiple aircrafts and whatnot. And similarly on the battery tech, when it comes to higher performance machines, you remember the formula that we learnt in school, the I square R, heat and losses is an I square R function, where I is your current, So scooters typically output between 3 to 8 kilowatts of power. Motorcycles are outputting, our motorcycle platforms, the 77s and the 99s, output between 30 to about 100 kilowatt of power, So you're talking about a 10x increase in power, and your current has also gone up, but your heat and losses go up as a square factor of the current. So the tech that is helpful to keep your system safe and cool from a scooter platform is fundamentally different from what is required on a motorcycling platform. So this also required a lot of avionics or aircraft electronics led approach towards building fail-proof systems from a thermal engineering perspective, from electrical safety, electronic safety, software, and of course mechanical. And all of this on a motorcycle makes it far more complex because you're constrained by weight and volume.
Absolutely.
It's not the floorboard of a car where you can have liquid cooling, you can have additional weight.
Absolutely. I mean, and what you just spoke about, this is just like behind the scenes stuff. And you also proudly, display the aviation inspiration on your motorcycles.
I mean, it looks like a jet on the roads,
Absolutely. It does, because I've ridden the Ultraviolette F77 myself, and Narayan, believe me, the kind of dropped jaws it garners wherever you go, I mean, it is just something else, because the kind of presence that the motorcycle has, there are very few motorcycles, even from the internal combustion engine world, that command that kind of presence.
I mean, very, very happy to hear that. I mean, we are so close to the product, but of course we ourselves are excited, and I think we love what we put out there. And like you said, a lot of our owners also resonate with both the design and the performance aspects. So.
No, absolutely. And going forward, we have already seen the F77, we have already seen the F99, and we are also hopeful that Ultraviolette is soon going to enter the motorsport space. So, with keeping in mind these three things, how do we see Ultraviolette innovating in the next 5 years in terms of products, in terms of technology? If you can tell us something about that.
So let me start with why motorsports is very important.
Right.
We are still in a world where the technology is new.
Right.
There is so much innovation and there is so much more in terms of either features or performance or safety, multiple aspects that we believe that are yet to be discovered or invented or put to commercial use, right?
Absolutely.
And this is where the world of motorsports comes in, because there you're solving for really complex challenges from performance, safety and design without really dealing with the implications of making it commercially viable on day one.
Right.
But the core crucial part is finding the right solutions.
Right.
And once you do, making it commercially viable is probably becomes the easier part of the puzzle.
Right.
And that's where we are very gung-ho on the world of racing.
Right.
You'll definitely hear some more updates on that in the coming few weeks or months as well.
Right.
And we've already seen that happen. The 10-level regen on the F-77 Mark II. Today we're able to recover using regen between 25 to 30% of expended energy.
Right.
And that is incredible.
Right. That's significant.
Yes. Yeah. And most other two-wheelers are, I think, in the 5 to about 8 or 10% band. And recovering energy is as complex as outputting energy, because for a battery system, discharge or charge, I mean, is putting a lot of load on the battery in either scenario, right?
Right.
And imagine high surge currents going back to the battery for half a second, 1 second, or longer durations using aggressive regen.
Right.
So we validated this tech on the F-99 platforms.
Right.
And today it's made its way to commercial use on the F-77 as well.
Right.
So similarly, I think there is a scope for a lot of such innovation to be invented for the world of racing and then make its way to meaningful use to our consumers.
Right, absolutely.
So intent is to be in multiple segments. So I think in the next 3 to 4 years, safe to say that Ultraviolette will be present across multiple two-wheeler segments, I mean multiple motorcycle segments specifically.
Right.
And it is also a question of at what point in time, for what markets we develop what segments for.
Right.
And we're seeing tremendous global interest coming in as well. And this is one aspect that I probably didn't touch upon earlier.
Sure. Please.
When you purely focus on cost, are you letting go of the opportunity to build for a global standard?
Right.
And today the Indian consumer is extremely discerning.
Right.
The internet over the last 10 years has opened up our expectations and aspirations to what the world out there is putting out, right? And when we say we're building for global standards, we are actually going to be launching the F-77s in Turkey and parts of Europe, including Germany, in the coming few months.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
And yeah, so you can imagine the kind of effort that's gone into that, because now we are compliant from a regulatory certification perspective. It's taken a while, but I think we're almost there to put the vehicles on the road in these countries.
Right.
Tremendous interest from consumers. All of it has been organic. We've got organic website inquiries from about 190 countries.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, this has happened since we unveiled the vehicles in 2019.
Right.
But the fact that it's organic also talks about the latent interest in performance and design.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And we wish you the very best of luck in your, international global ventures. And thank you so much, Narayan. It's been a rather interesting, insightful conversation. And
likewise.
We look forward to meeting you more and riding the Ultraviolette motorcycles soon as and when they come.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Narayan.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.